Ethan Miller sat in the cockpit of his small transport ship, staring at the massive alien station floating above the icy planet below. The station was enormous, bigger than any human structure he had ever seen. Its walls glowed faintly with a green light, and strange shapes moved along the surface. Ethan had been sent here to perform maintenance. The Vorani, an advanced alien race, had requested human assistance because their technology was failing. Ethan had heard stories about the Vorani. They were powerful, secretive, and precise. Their stations were said to be flawless, controlled by artificial intelligence and advanced machines. Humans were considered weak by most alien species. But Ethan had learned long ago that humans had a gift for problem-solving, for thinking in ways no other species could. That gift would be the key to surviving this mission. He docked his ship carefully, matching the station's rotation. The airlock hissed as it opened, and Ethan stepped inside. The first thing he noticed was silence. The station was empty, not a single Vorani was in sight. Panels flickered, doors hung open, and strange sounds echoed through the long corridors. His heart raced. Something was wrong. Ethan activated his portable scanner. Energy readings were low and many systems were offline. He moved cautiously, checking each room. At first, it seemed that the station had simply been abandoned. Then he found the first signs of sabotage. Broken panels, scorched floors, and warning lights indicated that someone had tried to destroy the station. He pressed on. He reached a large control room at the center of the station. Screens glowed dimly, showing maps of nearby star systems. Ethan tried to access the main console. It sparked violently, sending a small shock through his hand. He yelped and pulled back, then carefully tried again. Slowly, the system responded, but only partially. Someone had disabled communication with the outside world. Ethan realized the Vorani had left the station in chaos on purpose. Before he could think more, alarms suddenly blared. Automated turrets activated, their barrels turning toward him. Ethan ducked behind a console as energy beams streaked across the room. The Vorani had left defenses active, not realizing or not caring that a human had arrived. He pressed buttons on the console, trying to shut the turrets down. Sparks flew, and one turret fired, grazing his shoulder. Pain shot through his arm, but he did not give up. He managed to disable some of the turrets, but others remained active. The station was dangerous. He realized that the Vorani had underestimated humans. They had assumed a human engineer would be slow, weak, and incapable of handling complex technology. Ethan smiled despite the pain. They had made a mistake. Humans were survivors. Humans adapted. Humans found ways when others could not. Ethan moved deeper into the station, using a small portable toolkit to repair broken doors and panels. Each room presented new challenges. Some rooms were flooded with alien fluids. Some contained damaged machinery that hissed and sparked. Some held strange devices that Ethan had never seen before. But he worked carefully, studying each device, pressing buttons, testing energy flows, and slowly learning the station systems. He found the medical bay next. The Vorani had left it damaged but functional. Ethan treated his wound as best as he could. The pain in his shoulder was sharp, but it reminded him that he was alive. Many humans would have given up at this point. Ethan did not. Humans had a gift, determination. Pain was not a reason to quit. It was a reason to keep moving. As he worked, Ethan discovered something unusual. The AI system of the station, normally fully automated, was partially offline. It had been sabotaged like everything else. But Ethan had learned to read systems and understand logic. He opened the main AI panel, studying the alien circuits and holographic projections. At first, nothing made sense. The Vorani design was unlike anything on Earth, but Ethan had patience. He began experimenting with the controls, carefully reconnecting circuits, pressing buttons, and testing sequences. Slowly, small signs of life appeared. Lights flickered steadily, doors unlocked, and the hum of machinery grew stronger. It was as if the station itself was waking. Ethan realized that he could communicate with the AI if he could rebuild the interface. It would not be easy. The AI had been programmed to recognize only the Vorani. But humans had creativity. Humans had ingenuity. Ethan worked long into the night, sketching diagrams, connecting circuits, and testing his ideas. Days passed, and Ethan's skills grew. He moved through the station like a shadow, repairing broken systems, disarming dangerous machinery, and studying alien technology. He discovered logs left by the Vorani crew. They were recordings of experiments, maintenance schedules, and research notes. He could not understand everything, but he understood enough to know that the Vorani relied on rules, patterns, and precision. Humans did not follow rules blindly. Humans observed, experimented, and adapted. That was Ethan's advantage. One afternoon, while exploring a storage room, he found parts of broken drones. He carefully studied them, disassembling pieces and examining their energy cores. With patience, he managed to repair one drone. It powered on, its sensors blinking, and it followed him obediently. Ethan smiled. Even alien machines could recognize the skill of a human engineer. He began repairing more drones, creating a small team of helpers. They carried tools, repaired minor systems, and helped monitor energy flows. Ethan also began understanding the station's energy core. It was unlike anything humans had seen. Glowing, pulsing, and surrounded by strange circuits, it seemed almost alive. At first, he was cautious. One wrong move could destroy the station, or him, but he studied, tested, and experimented. He traced the energy flows, rewrote minor protocols, and stabilized weak circuits. Each small success gave him confidence. The station responded to him. Humans had a way of thinking the impossible through, and it was working. One night, Ethan sat in the observation deck, looking at the cold planet below. He thought about how the Vorani had left him for dead, assuming he could not survive. But humans were different. They could survive anything. They adapted. They learned. They improved. He had spent days repairing, experimenting, and learning, and he was stronger, smarter, and more capable than before. By the end of the first month, Ethan had made significant progress. Life support was functioning, energy systems were stable, and some AI functions had been restored. The station was no longer completely abandoned. It responded to him. The lights followed his movements. Doors opened at his approach. Drones hovered near him, waiting for instructions. Even the AI began recognizing him, following his commands cautiously. Ethan understood that his journey was only beginning. The station was vast, full of hidden rooms, damaged machines, and dangerous systems. He had survived so far through patience, observation, and human ingenuity. But the real challenge was ahead. He would have to fully master the station, reconstruct it, and face whatever dangers the Vorani had left behind, or whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at him. Despite the risks, Ethan felt excitement. The Vorani had left a station that seemed impossible to repair. Most species would have given up. Most species would have left and reported failure. But Ethan was human. Humans did not give up. They saw opportunity in danger. They created solutions where others saw obstacles, and he would prove it. He activated a holographic map of the station, marking areas that were still damaged. There were labs, engineering bays, storage rooms, living quarters, and hidden corridors. Each area was a puzzle, a challenge, and a chance to show human skill. Ethan smiled. One human engineer against a station abandoned and sabotaged by aliens. It was impossible, but humans thrived on the impossible. As he walked through the corridors, repairing panels and testing systems, Ethan felt a sense of purpose. The station was no longer just a mission. It was a challenge, a test of human ingenuity. Every panel he fixed, every circuit he restored, was proof that humans could adapt and survive. The first month had shown him that the station could be brought back to life, but he knew the real work was ahead. There were still hidden systems, advanced machines, and dangerous defenses to understand. He would have to push further, think harder, and adapt faster than ever before. Humans had survived this long in the galaxy not because they were strong, but because they were smart, curious, and unstoppable when faced with a challenge. Ethan Miller had survived the first month alone on an alien station. He had repaired life support, stabilized energy systems, restored part of the AI, and brought a few drones back to life. But this was just the beginning. The station held many secrets, and the galaxy had many dangers. He would need all his human skill to face them. He looked out at the distant stars and whispered to himself, "I am human. I will survive. I will learn. I will rebuild." And with that, he returned to the console, ready to continue the work that would turn an abandoned alien station into something no one had ever imagined. A human triumph in the depths of space. Ethan Miller sat on the cold metal floor of the alien station, his hands trembling as he touched the strange panels in front of him. The lights flickered weakly above, and the hum of the broken systems filled the empty corridors. He was alone. The Vorani crew had disappeared, leaving him behind, injured and trapped. At first he had felt fear, real fear, like nothing he had felt before. The station was vast, alien, and dangerous. Its machines were strange, and its walls hummed with a power he could barely understand. But Ethan was a human. Humans were survivors. They solved problems, learned fast, and found ways to adapt. He knew he could not sit and wait for help that would never come. He had to act. Slowly, carefully, he lifted himself and moved toward the nearest console. The screen was dark, showing symbols that he could not read. His fingers brushed over the alien controls, and at first nothing happened. Then a small panel lit up, green light spilling across his face. Ethan studied it, turning the knobs and pressing the buttons. He had no manual, no guide, no instructions, but he remembered what his father had taught him. Look, think, try. That was how humans learned. That was how humans survived. He pressed a series of buttons, and a faint vibration ran through the floor. It was small, almost nothing, but it was proof. Something was responding. For the next few days, Ethan explored the station, moving from room to room. The corridors were long, twisting, and filled with strange alien machinery. Some machines hissed, some clicked, and some glowed with a light he could not understand. The air smelled faintly metallic, and the walls pulsed slightly, as if the station were alive. At first, he could not figure out what anything did. Every machine seemed impossible to fix. But he kept notes, using a small pad and pencil he had brought from his ship. He drew diagrams, wrote down what each panel did, and slowly, connections began to appear. Ethan discovered the life support system first. It had failed almost completely, leaving the station cold and the air thin. He studied the alien panels, pressing buttons carefully, trying not to trigger any more defenses. After many tries, the oxygen flow stabilized, and the temperature rose. It was not perfect, but it was enough to survive. Ethan smiled to himself. The station was giving him signs. It wanted to work. Humans just had to understand it. Next, he moved to the power core. The Vorani technology was beyond anything he had ever seen. The core was a glowing sphere of energy, surrounded by circuits that twisted and moved like living wires. He could feel the heat radiating from it, and when he touched the panels, he could feel a small shock run through his hands. He studied it for hours, tracing the wires and trying to understand the flow of energy. He had learned electricity back on Earth, but this was different. He had to think like the aliens. He had to imagine their logic. Ethan experimented. He rerouted small amounts of energy, careful not to overload the core. The station shook slightly and alarms flashed, but he stayed calm. Humans were problem solvers. They did not panic. Slowly, he learned the rhythm of the station. He began to see patterns in the energy flow, patterns the Vorani had built into the system. By the end of the week, the core was stable, humming with a quiet energy that filled the station. It was not just alive, it was his. Ethan did not stop there. He moved to the navigation systems next. The Vorani had built charts of nearby star systems, maps that glowed with lines of light showing possible travel routes. Ethan could not read the symbols, but he understood the concept. He studied the lines, comparing them to the star maps he had learned on Earth. After many nights of work, he could plot a simple course. It was slow, but he was learning. The station was teaching him. One day, while exploring a storage room, Ethan found small machines stacked in rows. They looked like tools, but unlike anything humans had. They floated slightly above the ground and moved when he got near. Curious, he touched one, and a holographic display appeared. Images of alien experiments filled the air. Ethan stared at them in awe. The Vorani had been experimenting with energy, gravity, even time manipulation. He could not understand all of it, but he understood enough. He understood that humans were different, and maybe, just maybe, that difference could help him succeed where the Vorani had failed. Ethan began to build small tools for himself. He took parts from broken machines and combined them, creating devices that the station recognized and accepted. Some helped him repair panels faster. Some measured energy flow. Some even allowed him to communicate with the station's AI, which had been silent since the attack. The AI was cautious at first. Its voice was strange, metallic, and cold. "Unauthorized presence detected," it said. Ethan spoke carefully. He explained who he was, what he wanted. Slowly, the AI's tone softened. It began to follow his instructions, unlocking doors, opening storage compartments, and even guiding him through complex repairs. As days turned into weeks, Ethan's understanding grew. He discovered that the station had defenses, automated turrets, shields, and traps meant to keep intruders out. At first, they had frightened him. Now he studied them. He learned their patterns, learned how to disarm them safely, and even how to improve them. He rigged the shields to cover more of the station, and he modified the turrets to respond faster. Humans could not match alien technology naturally, but they could think differently. That thinking made them dangerous. Ethan also discovered the Vorani crew's logs. They were recordings of experiments, conversations, and technical notes. He could not understand everything, but he understood enough to know that the Vorani had relied on precision and protocol. Humans relied on creativity and improvisation. That was the difference. The Vorani had built the station expecting obedience. Ethan had no such expectations. He could make mistakes, learn from them, and try again. Every error he made taught him something new. Every repair he completed showed him that he was capable of more than he had imagined. At one point, Ethan found a broken drone in a storage bay. It had been damaged during the sabotage. Most humans would have ignored it. Ethan took it apart, studying every circuit, every wire, every tiny component. Then, he rebuilt it. When the drone powered on, it looked at him, lights blinking, and then followed him faithfully. It could carry tools, monitor energy flows, and even assist in repairs. Ethan had created an ally from alien technology using only his human ingenuity. The station began to feel different. It was no longer an empty, dangerous place. It was a workshop, a lab, and a home. Ethan moved with confidence, knowing that every panel he touched, every machine he repaired made him stronger. The AI began calling him operator, and the turrets stopped seeing him as a threat. Even the corridors seemed to hum in recognition of his presence. Ethan did not forget his goal. He was alone in the middle of space, but he had to survive. He had to learn, he had to adapt. Every system he repaired, every machine he mastered brought him closer to control of the entire station. He began thinking about the bigger picture. The Vorani technology was incredible, but it had flaws. It was rigid, depending on rules and protocols. Humans were flexible. Humans could improvise. Humans could change the rules. That was his advantage. He started modifying systems in small ways. He improved the energy core efficiency. He rewrote navigation subroutines to make course plotting faster. He combined alien devices in ways the Vorani never intended. Each small change made the station more responsive, more powerful, more human. The AI noticed. It warned him sometimes, saying, "Deviation from protocol detected." Ethan just smiled. Humans did not follow protocol. Humans created new ones. Ethan's work attracted attention from other systems in the station. Some machines that had been silent for years began responding to him. Lights flashed when he entered rooms. Holographic displays turned on when he approached. It was as if the station itself was learning to accept him. By the end of the second month, the station was no longer broken. It was alive, not with alien precision, but with human creativity. Ethan had turned a death trap into a functioning hub of technology. Despite his success, Ethan stayed cautious. He knew the Vorani could return. He knew their defenses could react. But he also knew that humans had something the Vorani never expected: ingenuity, determination, and the ability to adapt. With each repair, each modification, each experiment, Ethan proved to himself that humans could survive anywhere, even in a station built to kill them. By the time the third month arrived, Ethan could operate almost every system in the station. He could fly drones, control shields, manage energy cores, and even read parts of the Vorani logs. He had become more than just an engineer. He was a human capable of mastering alien technology, bending it to his will, and improving it. The station had gone from abandoned and dangerous to fully operational under the guidance of a single human mind. Ethan looked around one evening, the glow of the repaired systems casting light across the corridors. He smiled. He had survived. He had learned. He had adapted. He had turned the impossible into reality. The Vorani had left him for dead, but humans did not stay dead. Humans rebuilt, humans created, humans conquered, and Ethan Miller was living proof. He sat at the main console, tapping keys that no human had ever touched before. The station responded instantly. Lights, shields, drones, navigation, all working together. It was not just a station anymore. It was a new kind of station, one shaped by human hands, human logic, and human courage. Ethan knew that the universe was watching, even if it did not yet know it. He was ready for whatever came next. And as he rested, he understood a simple truth. Humans could survive anything, and humans could make anything better. The station was no longer alien. It was human. Ethan Miller walked through the main corridor of the alien station, his boots echoing softly against the metal floor. The lights shone steadily now, a sign of the work he had done so far. The station was no longer dead, but it was far from complete. Many rooms were still broken, and many machines were damaged beyond recognition. He knew that to survive, he needed to do more than repair. He needed to reconstruct. He needed to make the station strong, safe, and fully functional. He started in the engineering bay. The alien machines here were enormous, larger than anything on Earth, and they moved in ways that were difficult to understand. Ethan studied the schematics that floated on the holographic screens. At first, it seemed impossible. The circuits were twisted like vines, and the energy flows pulsed in strange patterns. But Ethan was patient. He traced each line, pressed each button carefully, and tested each component. Slowly, the machines began to respond. One by one, he reconnected broken power lines, rewrote software protocols, and replaced worn-out parts with tools he had made himself. Some parts were alien, impossible to replicate, but he found ways to adapt. He used simple designs from his own knowledge and combined them with alien technology. The machines began working better than before. Small systems hummed, energy flowed evenly, and the bay glowed with power. Ethan smiled. Humans were not the strongest in the galaxy, but they were clever. That was their true power. Next, Ethan moved to the station's laboratories. These rooms had been abandoned in chaos. Broken glass, shattered instruments, and strange chemicals filled the counters. He put on his gloves and started cleaning. He examined each device carefully. Some were dangerous, capable of producing energy bursts or chemical reactions that could kill a human. Ethan worked slowly, respecting the alien technology but thinking like a human engineer. Where the Vorani had designed for precision, Ethan designed for safety and efficiency. He repaired the lab machines one by one. Some he simply fixed, some he improved. He added stabilizers to energy conduits, rewrote alien software for easier control, and combined devices in ways the Vorani never intended. By the end of the week, the labs were operational again. He could run experiments, analyze data, and monitor energy flows in ways even the original crew might not have imagined. The station had become more than a repair job. It was becoming a project, a creation shaped by human hands. Ethan's next focus was the defense systems. He knew the Vorani had left automated turrets and shields to protect the station. At first, they had attacked him, thinking him an intruder. But now, he understood their patterns. He reprogrammed the turrets to respond only to intruders, not to him. He strengthened the shields, making them cover more area and respond faster to energy spikes. Using his knowledge of Earth's defensive systems, he modified alien designs to be more flexible and reactive. The station's defense was now better than it had been under the Vorani. While working on defenses, Ethan explored the station more deeply. He discovered rooms that were hidden behind false walls. Some contained supplies, some contained advanced alien equipment, and some contained strange alien life forms in stasis. He studied each discovery carefully. He could have ignored them, but humans were curious by nature. Curiosity had kept them alive for generations. He learned to repair the life support systems in these rooms, even modifying them to be more stable. What was once dead and forgotten was now alive under his care. The AI of the station had become a partner in his work. It monitored systems, suggested optimizations, and even guided him through areas that were dangerous. At first, it had been cold and unhelpful, but now it seemed to recognize Ethan as the rightful operator. The AI learned from him as well, adapting to his style and methods. Together, they repaired sections of the station that seemed impossible at first. The combination of human ingenuity and alien technology was unstoppable. One day, Ethan reached the communications bay. The alien equipment was vast, with tall antennas and holographic projectors. He had no experience with Vorani communication methods, but he tried anyway. Slowly, he traced signals, adjusted frequencies, and rewrote software protocols to match human logic. By the end of the day, he had a stable connection with Earth. He sent a small message, simple and clear. "Human engineer alive, station repaired." The response took time. It came slowly in bursts of data that Ethan had to decode. But when he finally read it, he smiled. Humans were coming to help, but more importantly, the station was already functional. He had done something no one thought possible. Alone, injured, and abandoned, he had reconstructed a Vorani station using human skill and determination. Ethan did not stop with repairs. He started enhancing the station. He adjusted the energy core to produce more power than the Vorani had designed. He improved propulsion systems, making them faster and more efficient. He rewrote software to allow easier control of drones and machinery. Every modification was carefully tested, measured, and recorded. The station was no longer just repaired. It was upgraded. It was better than before. He also began to explore the station's history. Logs, recordings, and holographic journals revealed the Vorani experiments. They had been studying energy manipulation, artificial intelligence, and advanced propulsion. Ethan studied these experiments, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding. Every success taught him something new, not just about the station, but about human capability. Humans could adapt, create, and improve where even the most advanced alien species could not. Ethan built new tools for himself. Simple devices that amplified his strength, measured energy, or controlled machinery remotely. Some were based on Vorani designs, others purely human. The combination was powerful. He used these tools to repair sections of the station that had been broken for years. Broken doors opened, malfunctioning labs stabilized, and old machines hummed to life. Each success gave him confidence and a sense of ownership over the station. By the fourth month, Ethan had reconstructed nearly half the station. The corridors were lit, the labs were functional, and the defense systems were stronger than ever. He had created a human imprint on every panel, every circuit, every room. The station, once abandoned and deadly, was now alive, not just in a functional sense, but in a way that reflected human creativity, patience, and intelligence. Despite his progress, Ethan remained cautious. He knew the Vorani might return. They might be angry, curious, or hostile, but he also knew that humans were not easily intimidated. He had learned to adapt, improvise, and overcome. The station was no longer a threat to him. It was a testament to human skill. He began training with the station's drones and defensive systems. He practiced controlling multiple systems at once, learning how to respond to emergencies and even simulating attacks. Humans were not the strongest species, but they were smart and flexible. Every test, every simulation, proved that a single human mind could control the station more effectively than a full Vorani crew. In the science labs, he experimented with alien technology in new ways. He combined energy modules, rewrote AI code, and tested propulsion enhancements. Some experiments failed, causing small explosions or malfunctions, but Ethan learned quickly. Humans did not give up after failure. They studied, adapted, and tried again. By the end of the month, the labs were not only functional, they were capable of producing experiments that the Vorani themselves might never have attempted. As the months passed, the station began to feel like a home. Ethan walked its halls with confidence, checking systems, repairing minor problems, and improving machinery. He had a rhythm now. Morning, he checked life support. Afternoon, he repaired machinery. Evening, he worked on enhancements. At night, he studied the Vorani records, learning what he could and imagining what he might create. Humans could not match the Vorani naturally, but they could think differently, and that difference was powerful. Ethan also discovered rooms with alien sleeping quarters and recreation areas. He repaired them and adapted them to human needs. Beds, food dispensers, and environmental controls all worked. He had created comfort in the middle of a hostile alien station. It was proof that humans could adapt not just for survival, but for living well, even in the most alien environments. By the 6th month, the station was almost entirely reconstructed. Energy flowed smoothly through the core, labs were ready for experiments, defenses were strong, and communication with Earth was stable. Drones moved efficiently, AI responded instantly, and even the hidden rooms were operational. Ethan had done more than survive. He had rebuilt, improved, and mastered the station. He paused one evening, looking out at the stars from the observation deck. The cold light of distant suns reflected off the station's hull. He smiled quietly. The Vorani had left him for dead, but humans did not stay dead. Humans learned, humans adapted, humans improved, And now the station was proof of that truth. Ethan Miller, a single human engineer, had taken an abandoned alien station and turned it into a hub of life, power, and knowledge. He had reconstructed it, enhanced it, and made it stronger than it had ever been. Alone in space, he had proven that humans were not weak. Humans were clever, determined, and unstoppable when they refused to give up. The station hummed around him, alive and responsive. Ethan's work was not finished, but he knew he had reached a turning point. The impossible was now possible. The abandoned, dangerous alien station was now his creation, a monument to human ingenuity and courage. The galaxy would remember that when a human engineer was left for dead, he did not just survive. He rebuilt, he enhanced, and he conquered. Ethan Miller stood at the observation deck, looking at the stars. The alien station hummed around him, alive with power, energy, and life. Months of work had turned the abandoned, dangerous place into something remarkable. Lights glowed steadily in every corridor, drones patrolled the halls, and the AI followed his commands instantly. The station was no longer just an abandoned alien relic. It was now a human-controlled fortress, laboratory, and home. He thought about the Vorani. They had left him for dead, expecting him to fail. They had underestimated humans. That mistake had given Ethan an opportunity, and he had not wasted it. Humans were not the strongest, but they were clever, adaptable, and persistent. And that persistence had brought him here, to a station stronger and more functional than the Vorani had ever intended. Ethan's first task that morning was to check the defense systems. The turrets were fully operational, shields glowed brightly, and the drone network scanned for intruders continuously. He ran simulations, moving quickly through the control panels. Each system responded perfectly. The station could defend itself from attacks, and he could control everything from one place. He realized that the Vorani technology, while advanced, had been rigid. It followed strict protocols. Humans did not follow strict rules. Humans adapted. Humans improved. That made them dangerous and powerful. Next, he turned to the laboratories. Alien experiments had been restarted, but this time with human ingenuity guiding them. Ethan had combined alien energy modules with his own designs, creating experiments the Vorani could never have imagined. Small drones monitored experiments, taking measurements, adjusting energy levels, and reporting data back to Ethan in real time. Every test was safer and more efficient than it had ever been. The station had become a center for discovery, all under one human mind. Ethan smiled as he watched a small energy module float in the air, humming steadily. He had modified it to stabilize energy flows, prevent overloads, and enhance output. The AI had warned him about the modifications, calling them deviation from standard protocol, but Ethan ignored it. Humans had a way of seeing possibilities where aliens saw danger. That had always been their strength. After a quick meal, he moved to the communications bay. The connection with Earth was stable now. He sent detailed reports about the station's condition, its new capabilities, and the work he had done. He wrote carefully, explaining how humans had reconstructed and improved the alien systems. When Earth replied, the messages were full of excitement. Scientists, engineers, and leaders all marveled at what one human engineer had achieved alone. Ethan laughed quietly to himself. One human, alone, left for dead. And yet he had turned the impossible into reality. The Vorani might return at any time, but he was ready. Humans were not afraid of challenges. Humans learned, adapted, and overcame. The station was now proof of that truth. He decided to test the station's full capabilities. Moving to the command center, he activated the propulsion systems. The station, once a drifting relic, responded instantly. Energy cores aligned, thrusters hummed, and the orbital stabilizers adjusted. It was smooth, precise, and fast. He plotted a course to a nearby star system. The AI assisted, but Ethan made the final decisions. Humans thought differently, and sometimes that thinking was faster and more creative than artificial intelligence. Next, he tested the station's defenses. Drones zipped through the corridors, scanning, analyzing, and targeting imaginary threats. Shields activated automatically in response to simulated attacks. Turrets tracked and responded to moving targets. Ethan smiled again. The station was now not just repaired, but enhanced. Humans had turned it into a fortress. The Vorani had left it broken and abandoned, and now it was one of the strongest stations in the sector. Ethan spent the next few days exploring every hidden room, every storage compartment, and every control panel. He discovered alien devices meant for experiments with gravity, energy, and time manipulation. Most humans would have left them untouched, fearing danger. Ethan studied each one, experimenting safely and carefully. Some machines he repaired, some he modified, and some he combined with human technology. Slowly, the station's power grew beyond anything the Vorani had intended. One evening, Ethan heard a strange sound. It was the AI alert system, signaling a detected ship approaching. He quickly ran to the main console and activated the sensors. Through the holographic display, he saw a Vorani patrol fleet heading straight for the station. They had finally returned. For a moment, Ethan felt a flicker of fear. He was only one human. But then he reminded himself of what he had accomplished. He had repaired alien machines, controlled AI, enhanced defenses, and transformed the station into a fortress. He was not just surviving, he was ready. Humans did not wait for help. Humans acted. He activated all defenses. Shields raised, turrets powered up, and drones positioned themselves along the perimeter. He created energy traps and redirect channels, using the station's systems in ways the Vorani had never imagined. The fleet arrived, expecting an easy victory, but Ethan had prepared for every possibility. Humans were not predictable. Humans were creative. The first Vorani ships fired, energy beams slicing through space. Ethan activated the station's countermeasures. Shields absorbed the blasts, energy redirected to defensive turrets, and drones attacked vulnerable points. The Vorani were surprised. They had expected a dead station, but instead they faced a human-controlled fortress enhanced beyond their imagination. Ethan worked quickly, adjusting defenses, rerouting energy, and launching counterattacks. Every move he made was precise, calculated, and creative. The Vorani ships struggled to hit the station, and when they tried to board, automated turrets and drones stopped them. Humans were not only strong in mind, they could adapt in real time, turning defense into offense with unexpected tactics. The battle raged for hours. The Vorani realized their mistakes. Their technology was advanced but rigid. They followed rules, expecting the station to do the same. Ethan did not follow rules. He improvised, adjusted, and overcame. He used energy cores to create diversions, drones to mislead enemy sensors, and the AI to anticipate attacks. Slowly, one by one, the Vorani ships were forced to retreat. When the last ship jumped away, Ethan stood in the command center, breathing heavily but triumphant. The station had survived, stronger than ever. Humans had proven themselves. Not through brute strength, but through intelligence, creativity, and determination. One human had taken an abandoned alien station and turned it into a fortress that even an entire alien fleet could not defeat. After the battle, Ethan contacted Earth again. This time he sent images of the repaired, enhanced station, along with a message. Human engineer operational, station fully functional and defended. Humans are capable of more than expected. Earth responded with excitement, sending teams of scientists and engineers to assist. But Ethan knew that he had shown something far greater than simple repairs. He had shown that humans could adapt, learn, and improve anything, even technology built by an alien species. Ethan spent the next weeks working with the arriving humans. They explored the station together, repaired minor issues, and continued enhancing the systems. Ethan taught them what he had learned. The humans were amazed at his knowledge, his courage, and his ingenuity. He had taken something broken and made it powerful. He had turned the impossible into reality. Even with the station fully operational, Ethan continued experimenting. He tested new energy modules, refined AI algorithms, and improved propulsion systems. The station became not just a fortress, but a hub for human knowledge, research, and exploration. The Vorani technology was now enhanced by human creativity. What they had left for dead had become a symbol of human ingenuity. Ethan often walked to the observation deck, looking at the stars. He thought about the Vorani, about what they had underestimated. Humans were not the strongest, but they were persistent, intelligent, and creative. When faced with impossible challenges, humans adapted. They learned, they survived, they improved. The station hummed around him, alive with energy, life, and possibility. It was no longer alien, it was human. One day, he activated the station's long-range scanners and detected multiple Vorani fleets in distant systems. They had heard of the station's survival. They might try to challenge humans again, but Ethan was ready. Humans had proven themselves once, and they would prove themselves again. With a fully operational station, advanced defenses, and human ingenuity guiding every system, the galaxy would learn a new truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were creators, innovators, and unstoppable when left for dead. Ethan smiled, watching drones patrol, shields glowing, and systems running smoothly. He had taken what the Vorani abandoned, improved it, and turned it into a beacon of human ability. One engineer, alone in the depths of space, had changed the future. Humans could survive anywhere, build anything, and overcome any challenge. The galaxy had underestimated them, and that mistake would never be repeated. As the stars stretched before him, Ethan thought simply, "We are humans. We adapt. We survive. We build. We create." The station around him was proof. The galaxy would remember. An alien station left a human engineer for dead. He reconstructed the entire place.